Hello and welcome to Driver's Therapy. Today we're going to be doing the Porsche GT4 buyer's guide in the cold. Now for some reason in Colorado it got cold all of a sudden, so we already set up and we're going to do this video. Alright guys, let's kick it off. Now if you don't know the channel, I've done buyer guides videos before and they were quite successful, so I kind of am excited about this one. Alright, let's kick it off. So if you're looking for a 2016 GT4, now I hope you guys know there's two generations. We're just focusing on 2016. There's a few things I want you guys to make sure you know if you're looking for one. So, ahead of time, the #1 YouTube word out there is you guys. So be prepared. If you're going to play a shots game, you guys is, I'm going to say it a lot. So anyways, 2016, these are the few things you want to know. First off, the transmission. Now I did a whole video on it. Here's a little sticky thing that YouTube lets us do. And essentially, if you're looking for a GT4, you're gonna wanna make sure that the transmission recall has been addressed. Now Porsche makes it pretty easy to do. They provide a website where you can look at all recalls. You go ahead and plug in that VIN that you're looking at, and it'll tell you if it needs it or not. You could also call Porsche dealership if you're unsure about that, but it's a pretty easy process. Now, one thing about the transmission recall is that a lot of vehicles, they have been done. Like this one, I purchased it and it was done a couple thousand miles ago, and that gives me a peace of mind. Now, that's just one of those things that a lot of people know a lot of information about, but I cannot emphasize how important it is to make sure you know whatever vehicle you're buying, that it's been taken care of. All right, the second most important thing that I think you guys should know is the options. And I think not only for resale value, but also for aesthetic look and just for the feel of the car. The PCCBs are 100% worth it. Now, I know these are about $12,000 to $15,000 option, and I know a lot of people get worried about the replacement cost. But just to give you a figure, this car has about 16,000 miles, and the brakes are 11 millimeters, and I believe new is 12. If you don't utilize the PCCBs, you know, in a very hardcore environment, like if you're not going every weekend and doing HPDE level 4 and just beating on a car and going through continuous heat cycles, then the brakes will last you. And in a daily driver purpose or just enjoying around town, I think I utilize between 10 to 20% of the brake, because I just barely tap on it and the car stops. It's over brakes for daily use. And not only that, guys, they just look beautiful. They fill in the car better. They make the car look more aggressive. This is a GT car. Porsche make GT cars in the special, and I believe the PCCBs are a way to go. Now, I don't have to tell you crazy track guys that I know you guys use the steel brakes because you guys are going to go through rotors like candy. That makes 100%. That makes sense. But if you're just a normal guy like me who's not going to be doing that, the PCCBs are the way to go. All right. So we bought this car in California and we live in Colorado. So we drove it for 13 hours, and we originally, both Elise and I, thought that the carbon fiber bucket seats were going to be a pain in the butt or a pain in the back, but they weren't. Now, they don't recline, but they do adjust back and forth, and they do adjust height. And let me tell you guys, the car was really comfortable. And to be honest with you, it was a lot comfortable than other cars that I've driven long distances. And those seats had like all the reclining and all the adjustments you could think of. So that really says something that it is really cool. So if you're on the fence about the bucket seats, do it, because they're comfortable, they look amazing. And not only that, especially for me, it was a non-negotiable option I wanted when I was looking for a GT4. And if you do want to sell yours later on, I guarantee that there's going to be somebody like me who's going to want those bucket seats, and you don't want to miss that opportunity to sell a car to a good owner or a good potential future owner. All right, guys, so after that, the rest of the options I think are personal preferences. Just know that understand the different colors. Some colors were an extra option, so they cost extra. So when you're looking around, just know that if the price is different and you don't understand, you know, because I didn't understand the Porsche coloring option, just know that Porsche did have different colors, and this metallic color was an extra option. It costs a little bit more. So just know that those different colors are going to cost a little bit more. All right, so moving on. So the GT4 is a really well-built car. I mean, Porsche cars are really well-built in general, so there's not a lot. And I do want to state something. I know last time people were like, you need to state about the DME report, Carfax, maintenance history, but I really think that stuff is really self-explanatory for any car, but I will state it real quickly. Buy the Carfax, make sure that all the maintenance history is correct. Make sure you get a great DME report. Make sure that there's nothing above range 4, 5, and 6, and if there's something in 3, make sure that the operating hours, you know, there's been over 200 operating hours since that incident. If you don't know how to read a DME report, you can go on Rentlist and figure that out. You could always send me a message, but it's pretty easy, and if you're getting it done somewhere, I bet you the technician will help you out. Woo, it's a little cold out today, but we're gonna continue. You know what, here in Colorado, it was like 70 degrees a few days ago. Now it's like getting chilly. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Okay, one of the things I also recommend is understanding, we talked about the DME report, we talked about the transmission, but one of the things I really recommend, especially with a car like this, is understanding your seller. Now, you have different types of seller, but if you're thinking, you know, think about somebody who's buying maybe like a Cessna, which is a little plane, compared to somebody who's buying like a performance plane, you know. They're gonna utilize it for different things, and you can't really expect somebody to be like, oh yeah, I never use my performance plane for performance. This is a performance car, so you're gonna really have to consider when you're talking to the seller and you're analyzing the seller, you're really gonna have to understand that wherever this car is coming from, that's how it was utilized. Luckily, based on my seller, without giving any information, I felt like he enjoyed the car, but he also enjoyed it. You know, he understood the value and he wanted to retain that value and retain that condition. And he didn't really track it a lot. I think he did one event and then one autocross event as well. But essentially, it was a low-use performance vehicle, which is kind of good in the buying sense. And I don't know if I'm gonna keep it like that, but it's one important thing for a buyer's guide. Due to the height of the vehicle and due to the nature of the vehicle, I really think it's important to look at the undercarriage. I looked at the undercarriage when I kind of bumped the lip, like I told you in the last video that I made. If you guys didn't see it, that's when I introduced the car. But essentially, the car is low and you want to look at the undercarriage. And I looked around afterwards, everything looks good, thankfully. But that's definitely something you want to look at, especially a vehicle at this height. Well guys, I'm keeping this video really short because A, it's cold, and B, these cars are actually really well made. Porsches are really well made. But this is just my short buyer's guide. You probably knew about the transmission. If you didn't, I think that's the most important part. The second thing is make sure you get the right options. Just trust me, coming from somebody who thought that the seat was going to be uncomfortable, the carbon seats are amazing and I think they're worth it, and you're going to get your money back on that. Well guys, thank you for watching this video. It's really cold. Elise is shaking behind the camera. So guys, you take care, stay safe, and we'll talk to you soon.